Yes, sir. You can proceed, sir.
Thank you, Shivji. So, very good morning to all, and I extend heartiest congratulations and wishes to all the participants and all the listeners who are and viewers who are viewing this presentation by Progressive Horticulture on the auspicious occasion of Vijay Dashmi. आज का दिन ही ऐसा है जिसमें बुराई पे अच्छाई की जीत हुई थी. So I start with these words. Well, to introduce myself, I am Dr. Rakesh Sharda, Principal Scientist in the Department of Soil and Water Engineering, Punjab Agriculture University, Ludhiana. I am also handling a couple of projects such as Precision Farming Development Center of Punjab. Then I'm also handling, I'm co-PI of one of the projects that is the use of Center of Excellence for use of brackish water for cultivation of fruits and vegetables in southwestern Punjab. And I'm also co-PI of one of the NAHIP projects that is CAST SNRM, that is School of Natural Resource Management at PAU, Ludhiana. I've got around 26 years of experience working in the field of micro irrigation, protected cultivation, and of course use of non-conventional energy resources for irrigation, particularly the solar energy. So I have also been awarded one project by Ministry of Agriculture, that is a pilot project on solar powered micro irrigation systems. That was my brief introduction. So today's topic is precision farming. Precision farming technologies in horticulture. Whenever we talk of precision farming technologies, the idea comes to mind is that it must be that satellite imagery capturing it, that is as per US concept with geospatial technologies. It is such a thing. We prepare soil map, test the soil, then past year yields, then compare it. Then of course with the help of satellite imagery we go in for precision farming. And as such, the precision farming originated in the US and European countries. The farms in those countries are generally more than 100 hectares of area. And the major impediments are higher energy costs, higher machinery costs, and of course, for Indian context, the major impediments are higher energy costs, higher machinery costs, and of course, small size of the farms. So over the years, if we talk of our small farmer, so for precision for a small farmer, for a small Indian farmer is low cost of inputs, and of course sustainable higher yields and higher incomes. And these sustainable yields, that is year after year he is getting the same or higher yields. There is no reduction in the yield. The precision has to be in such a way. When we talk of a precision for a small farmer, it is when to irrigate or apply fertilizers, how to irrigate or apply fertilizers, and the foremost is how much to irrigate or apply fertilizer. It means that for my small farmer, his main concern is how to do the things more precisely so as to optimize or increase the yield levels. And when we talk of precision farming and horticulture, it involves the application of technologies and principles to manage spatial and temporal variability associated with all aspects of horticulture production for improving crop performance and environment quality. This would call for efficient management of resources through location-specific high-tech interventions. Precision farming could be defined as application of holistic management strategy right from the nursery stage to the post-harvest stage in such a way that uses information technology to bring data from multiple sources to be a decision associated with agricultural production, marketing, finance, and personnel. And some of other technologies That is, I've already talked. The US concept was precision agriculture or site-specific farming, site-specific management, or farming by the foot, or variable rate technology. But when we talk of a small farmer, we say that, okay, if he precisely applies, he knows what is the source of the nursery, how he has to apply irrigation, how he is to apply fertilizers, then of course training, pruning, and then and then comes the protected cultivation part, and that is the precision for a small farmer who is having a land less than 5 hectares. And of course, if you consider the issues of concerns, as I've already said, the issue of concern is nursery management. The farmer must get the quality nursery to get higher yields. Of course, irrigation, water management, fertilizer management, weed management, and of course, another area is saline water use. Particularly in arid areas where the most groundwater is brackish, and of course these arid areas are very good horticulture bowls. So use of saline water, and to develop strategies how to use how to cultivate crops in that area, that is also very important. And then training and pruning, that particularly for the horticulture crops, training and pruning is an important part. And then comes the protected cultivation, because protected cultivation helps the farmer to increase the yields to help the farmers to increase the yields manifold. He can get almost 8-acre yield from 1 acre of field. Of course, investment is there. And of course, as I've already told you, the first thing is nursery management. And of course, shortcomings in today's nurseries is lack of modern infrastructure facilities. Concept of mother block is lacking. Containerized nursery production not followed, particularly in fruit trees. Then rootstock seeds are procured from unauthorized sources. Enough rotation is not practiced in nursery, and same bed is used repeatedly year after for raising the same type of plants. And of course, it causes a new number of problems. When we say a model nursery means it must have a mother block, that is elite plants of recommended varieties, closely planted and managed for regular supply of scion wood for propagation. Seed garden, trees of local or recommended groups of varieties of various crops are grown in a block or on boundaries, which act as source for regular supply of seeds for raising rootstock seedlings. Then, of course, greenhouses fitted with elevated platform for production of rootstock seedlings. Then, of course, polyhouse with temperature and humidity control mechanism, primarily used for keeping freshly grafted budded plants so as to get early union and high success rate. And of course, shade net houses, which are required for hardening of the plants. And then screen net houses, insect proof structure stretched over mother plants, newly propagated to avoid insect attacks and viral contamination. And of course, windbreaks are also required for protection of structures and spread of diseases. And of course, this photograph shows the containerized nursery. We can have both bags as well as plastic containers. This is a screen house for a foundation block. And of course, normally for foundation block of citrus varieties for nursery production, I'm here describing citrus because the major area under Punjab is under citrus. Citrus is the main horticultural crop. And then this is the rootstock block. We have to maintain it so that we got proper rootstock, and we know the actual things. And of course, media preparation is also an important part for primary and secondary nursery. Primary nursery, we take virgin fertile soil and coco peat 1:1. Then for secondary nursery, we take virgin fertile soil plus coco peat plus FYM in the ratio 2:1:1. And then for preparing this media, what we do is we make a heap of it either on the concrete raised platform, where we put the mixture, thoroughly mix it, and then put a 100 micron transparent PVC film, polyfilm on it. And we add some, and we further fumigated granular basamate at the rate of 50 grams per square meter. The beds are then completely covered with the sheet during May, June. After duration of 3 weeks, the polythene sheet covering is removed from the beds, and the mixture is subject to at least 3 turnings with interval of 1 week to remove the fumigants. And of course, to prepare a primary nursery, we take we take the portrait on the elevated movable racks, where this helps in overcoming the soil-borne diseases from the ground, because we are using the pro trays, where we are using the mixture that we have already prepared, and as such there won't be any soil-borne diseases. As each seed is sown in the individual cell, there is no chance of spreading the contamination or infection from one seedling to another. And of course, identification of nuclear seedlings is also easy. This slide shows the germination of rough lemon and carrizo seeds in individual cells of protrace. Then, of course, for the secondary nursery, the rootstock seedlings with a height between 10 to 12 centimeters are transplanted to the secondary nursery. Of course, seedlings with uniform growth are transplanted to the secondary nursery, and care is taken to avoid doubling up of the roots at the time of transplanting. Rootstock seedlings are treated with foliar application of 1.5% urea at monthly intervals from March to December, so that proper nutrition is provided to the seedlings, and we get the seedling, or we get the plants at the right kind and right stage and of right vigor also. So this photograph shows the greenhouses for rootstock seedlings growing under greenhouse conditions. And this photograph depicts the greenhouse secondary nursery. The budding operation is performed on pencil thickness seedlings, 15 to 20 centimeter from the ground level. The bud portion is then wrapped with 100 gauge polythene strips of 1.2 to 1.8 centimeter width. This strip is removed 21 days after budding, and the plant is subjected to the bud forcing. And of course, budding operation is performed when the sap flow in the seedlings and bark would slip. And tea budding is done May onward till September under these net house conditions. And of course, when we get the seedlings or plants from such conditions, they are quite healthy and disease free. Then, of course, why we have to shift from outside to specially made poly structures or protected structures. This slide adopted from one of the research papers. It shows that in greenhouse, the germination percentage is almost 78.4% in case of greenhouse, and which in case of open field is only 48% in 2001 and 2001-02, and the mean is only 31.5. Almost less than the half is the germination success if we compare the two conditions. And of course, the date taken to attain the optimum height is also very less, because in the open conditions, particularly in India, we have all kind of temperatures, right from extreme temperatures of 48 degrees centigrade to 0 degrees centigrade. It means during the period from September to say October to January, the growth will be less outside. But in case of plants placed inside the greenhouse, because of the better temperature conditions, it will take less time as compared to the open. That's why here you can see the mean is almost 50 days taken to attain optimum height is 55.5 days in case of greenhouse, and in case of open field it is 72 days. And of course, healthy seedlings before transplanting, you see it's almost 82%, whereas it's 51.5% in case of outside. And of course, nowadays when we are getting hybrid varieties seeds, you can just imagine that a seed costing 6 rupees, and I invest something around 10,000 rupees in the on the planting material or on the seed material, and I am losing almost 51% of it, or half of it, due to my own conditions, which I cannot manage outside, but inside I can manage the things. And that's why I'm getting almost 82% of the seedlings or the seeds which have germinated, or the seeds which I have sown. 82% is the success rate, and it is almost half in case of open. So that's why we say that whenever we are going to go in for a nursery, it must be done in under the protected conditions. Under the protected conditions, these nurseries are free from diseases. Success rate is high, and of course we manage the nutrients also very well, because we can go in for containerized nurseries where we give individual drip irrigated systems can be in place, and of course nutrients can be also supplied with that. And of course in my forthcoming slides I will be discussing irrigation, drip irrigation and fertigation, since drip irrigation and fertigation having a high success rate, having a high efficient is a highly efficient system. So in that case, my nutrient requirement will be less, nutrient loss will be less, and of course the system will be more water efficient. And of course, vegetable nursery is another thing around, and of course. Growing vegetable nursery under protected conditions is the best way to get the healthy, disease-free seedling. Because in case of vegetables, nowadays the price of the seed is quite high. It's almost 5 to 6 rupees a seed, and if you add another its germination, its production cost, it comes to almost 8 to 9 rupees per seedling. And if my 8 to 9 rupees per seedling, if I am going in for a say polyhouse of 1 acre, then I will be going in for something around 8,000 plants. Then it means that my investment is almost around 75 to 80,000 rupees. And if my nursery or my seedlings are not healthy, then it means, or even if the germination is not proper, then it means that my there will be reduction, first losses in the form of my investment on the seeds. Second loss is in the form of reduced production later on. To overcome these problems, many vegetable crops are grown in nurseries before being transplanted in the field. The vegetable business provides an excellent opportunity for producers and consumers alike to diversify their business and taste, and their taste in nursery can be as simple as raised in an open field. But we also say that if it is done in a protected greenhouse, shade house or polyhouse with a temperature control system, we are always sure that we will get the nursery well within the time. And of course, the vegetable growers prefer getting the nursery from nursery houses. And the small and marginal farmers, of course, go in for direct sowing also, but we always say that instead of going in for direct sowing, you must procure the nursery from a very good source, so that you get healthy nursery. And of course, if the nursery is healthy or the seedling is healthy, you are going to get better produce. And advantages of nursery raising: it is very convenient method. You can use a 2000 square meter polyhouse or high-tech polyhouse to uh, to produce seedlings. One thing is year round, and of course time bound. And particularly in a time frame, we say, okay, we are sowing cucumber. You need cucumber, we say 15 to 20 days is enough. You are going for other crops, we say, if we are doing the nursery production in the polyhouses or the environment controlled polyhouses, we say anything between 25 to 32 days are enough. And of course, no weed problem, reduced field management costs, improved crop uniformity, that is more important, and higher yields, more optimal use of hybrid seeds. Remember, you might be remembering those old days when we say you put two seeds, but I cannot afford two seeds nowadays. I say, even I have to use a plucker, then I will use a plucker to put the seed in the pro tray, so that there is no wastage of seed. And of course, shorter growing season and more efficient use of land and more accurate prediction of harvest date. And of course, it can be polybags, polytrays, or low tunnels. And when we say the growing media, normally the growing media is 3:1:1. That is 3 parts of coco peat, 1 part of vermiculite, and 1 part of perlite. I don't go into the details of growing media. It's very common. When we say depth of seed sowing and seeds, size of selected vegetables in pro tray, normally it is for tomato, it is the depth is 0.5 inch. For brinjal, it is 0.5 inch. For sweet pepper, it is 0.5. For cucumber, 0.5 to 0.7 inches. And for muskmelon, 0.5 to 0.7. Of course, number of seeds in 1 gram is also given here. And of course, as the number of seeds per gram reduces, the cost also increases. You just imagine that many varieties of sweet pepper are available in the market with price as high as 5 to 6 rupees. And of course, as I've already told you, spending 9 to 10 rupees on a seedling, it means it must be taken care very well. Then only I am going to make my vegetable production or my fruit production a profitable venture. And this slide shows the recommended size of cell for raising vegetable seedlings as recommended by the Department of Vegetable Science, Punjab Agriculture University, Ludhiana. Cell size is around 1.5 to 4.0 inch, and optimum we say 3 inch is almost 3 inch for tomato, brinjal, muskmelon, and for sweet pepper and cucumber it is 2.0. And of course, we have to harden the seedlings before we take it out from the before we take it out from the polyhouse. This can normally be done inside the shade net house, and that will help in acclimatization before transplanting. And this shows the medium different type of seedlings, one with the medium A, that is a normal medium, and then they tested some starter solution on it. And of course, another is a vegetable grafting. I think one lecture has also been delivered on the vegetable grafting. I will not go deep into it, but of course, having a grafted vegetable seedling helps us in fighting the various soil-borne diseases. And of course, the important part that comes after nursery management is irrigation, water, and fertilizer management. Of course, I will be covering mulching part also into it. And of course, when we talk of irrigation water management, efficiency plays the main role. Efficiency signifies a peak level of performance that uses the least amount of inputs to achieve the highest amount of output. As I have already told you, efficiency, even in case of nursery management, if the efficiency attained is only 50% in traditional methods or conventional methods, then we have to be so precise, or we have to do it in such a precision that the efficiency must increase. And as I have shown you I have discussed the slide where efficiency increases as high as 80%. And of course, in case of vegetable seeds, it is as high as 95 to 98%. And that is only due to the protected environment we provide for the nursery raising. And of course, efficiency requires reducing the number of unnecessary resources used to produce given output, including personal time and energy. That is very important, because whether efficiency is in case of nursery production or in irrigation, we have to be using using resources optimally. It is a measurable concept, and that can be determined using the ratio of useful output to total output. The more important, it minimizes the waste of resources such as physical materials, energy, and time while accomplishing the desired input. And of course, water use efficiency is such a concept that right now, concept introduced almost 100 years ago, and we are wasting almost 4,000 liters of water to produce 1 kg of rice. This must be reduced. And of course, Punjab Agriculture University, in the Department of Soil and Water Engineering, we are striving hard to reduce this waste of water through micro irrigation systems. And of course, when we talk about irrigation efficiencies of different methods of irrigation, the conveyance, the overall efficiency of surface irrigation system is only 30 to 35%, whereas in case of sprinkler, it is 50 to 60%, and in case of drip irrigation, it is 80 to 90%. That is why we always say that you must go in for systems which are more efficient, because efficiency induces increase in profits. I tell you, I was last week only, I was going through some presentations on the internet, and I found that in America now they are introducing the concept of drag on drip lines. The systems which they were using for sprinkler systems, that is overhead sprinkler systems, they are replacing those systems with drag on drip irrigation lines, because this helps in increasing the efficiency of the water applied. And when we say what is efficiency, it is when we say that it is 90%, it doesn't mean that we decrease the requirement of the plant. The requirement of the plant is not decreased, but it is the efficiency, it is the system efficiency that has been increased. The conveyance efficiency is almost 100%, which is 60 to 70% in case of conventional method, where in case of this application efficiency, that was also very low. And of course, evaporation is quite high in case of conventional method, which is very less in case of micro irrigation methods, particularly drip irrigation. So if we have a peak water requirement of mango plant is say 100 liters per day per plant, by surface irrigation method it will be something 330 liters per day per plant. And you can see from the figure how we flooded the whole area, wherever whole area, even if the roots are there or not, which can actually extract the water from the ground. And by micro irrigation methods, we will be requiring only 111 to 160 liters, 66 liters per day per plant, and depending upon the type depending upon the crop size or season, and you can see 330 and 167, and that is the beauty of the system. That's why we say, particularly for horticulture crops, I am of the considered belief that in case of shortage of water, horticulture will be the major loser, because in the case of water deficit systems, our major priority will be the staple crops, because staple crops are more used for meeting the food security of the nation, as well as the country, as well as the population. But if we do not shift from our conventional methods to more efficient micro irrigation or drip irrigation methods, then we will be the sufferers. That's why I always advocate that the drip irrigation system in horticultural crops must be the top priority. And of course, I've done a lot on it. I will not go into it. And sometimes they say, okay, but is it true that if I put a system on one crop, will it be utilizable on another crop in the season? Well, for the annuals, no problem. Like quinoa, guava, potato, pomegranate, sugarcane, or for any fruit crop, there is no problem. You can year-round utilize the drip irrigation system. But then for other crops also, we can easily manage, and these are the different cropping systems which I have enumerated over here, which shows that, of course, the crop can be irrigated year-round. And why I put potato crop first, it is because in the potato crop, this is the first recommendation. Of course, Punjab Agriculture University gave first recommendation on drip irrigation in Kinu in 1995, but after a long gap, in 2011, we gave a first after the PFDC came into being in PAU Ludhiana in 2008. This is the first recommendation we gave in case of potato. It is drip irrigation and fertigation in potato. And of course, this table shows effect of different treatments on tuber yield. And of course, you can see that tuber yield is almost, particularly in F2 treatment. When I say F2, it is 80% of fertilizers and 80% of irrigation, as compared to the recommended dose of fertilizers in case of conventional treatment. We came up with our own fertigation schedule, and you can see we raised almost 44.2 tons per hectare, 44.2 tons per hectare yield. And if you go by the comparison of say water applied in different treatments, so you can see that it's almost water saving is almost 49.9%. Even in the case of I3, that is 60% of the 60% of the water requirement, which even in case, and we got almost the higher yields as compared to the conventional treatment. And then one more important, particularly for the table potato, if we go for drip irrigation system, we got almost 80% of 80% of A and B class tubers, which fetch us higher price in the market. And if we are going in for seed potato, then we advocate that we must go in for micro sprinkler or sprinkler irrigation systems, because sprinkler irrigation induces a sort of limitation, or it does not allow the crop to grow as such, and as such the size of C and D, which is required for the seed potato, that is quite high. That's why we say that for the seed tuber, we must go in for sprinkler irrigation system, and for table potatoes, we recommend drip irrigation system. And this is the way we give recommendation to the farmers. We give almost average time with the given discharge and discharge of the dripper and placement of the dripper. And if there is some variation, then we provide a formula with which they can calculate how much discharge or how much time has to be how much time the drip irrigation system has to be operated. And then during first month, how much urea has to be applied, or how much monoammonium phosphate or MOP is applied. And of course, when we say monoammonium phosphate, you can also replace this with the urea phosphate, because that is less costlier. But of course, you have to balance out the nutrients. And we say that for the every second irrigation, we say that you go in for this. Or after every 4 days you go in for fertigation, and every second irrigation, and every 2 days we go in for irrigation, and the time is mentioned out there. And then another crop we did was onion. In case of onion also, you see with the conventional treatment we realized only 24.65 tons of onion, whereas in case of drip irrigated, we got almost 55.14 tons of onion. Even with I3 F3 treatment, where we are applying 60% of fertilizers and 60% of the water requirement, the yields are quite high as compared to the yields are higher than the conventional treatment. And of course, we got higher water use efficiency and higher water saving in case of drip irrigation, almost 29% to 57%. That is more than half as compared to the conventional treatment. In onion, if you go in for this plastic mulch also, that will further enhance the yield levels, and of course the size of the onion will be quite good. So these photographs shows my trials at PAU. And then this is another crop, green chili, and just go by the picture, and I tell you, this is now my demonstration crop. And each year a number of farmers visit this crop. Here also the same case, the conventional treatment we realized only 198.575, whereas the mean is around 262 in case of drip irrigated crop. And of course, the water use efficiency is quite high in case of conventional treatment, as in case of drip irrigation system as compared to the conventional treatment. Then of course, brinjal I always considered as a wonder crop in case of if you are doing it with drip irrigation and mulch, particularly the plastic mulch. The major problem in the this crop is that is fruit borer and fruit borer both. And in case of fruit borer, we say that if the ground is clear, if the ground is not infested with weeds, it is clear of weeds, then the fruit borer infestation will be less than 10%. And of course, we manage that crop with the help of this drip irrigation and mulch only, with minimal of the or almost negligible pesticides. And why I call it a wonder crop, you can just see it from here, that in case of mulch crop, we realized almost 75 tons per hectare, whereas it is only 43 tons in the case of conventional method. And if you go in for plastic mulching and drip irrigation in brinjal, you can realize the cost of drip irrigation and drip irrigation, fertigation and mulching in one season only. You get, if you invest two rupees, you almost get back 3 rupees within one season only. And then this is a crop, drip irrigation and fertigation in cabbage. The beauty of this system is that when you grow cabbage with the help of drip irrigation and fertigation system, you reduce the number of days to harvest. In case of in case of conventional irrigation or conventional traditional method of crop growing, sorry, traditional method of crop growing, the crop matures in 75 to 80 days, whereas in case of the drip irrigated and fertigated crop, the crop matures in something around 65 to 70 days. As you can see here, there are two lines with the conventional system, and almost whole of the crop is there, whereas in case of other treatments, it's different treatments with the different irrigation and fertigation levels. You can see almost half of the crop is done in case of drip irrigation and fertigation as compared to the other systems. The girth realized is higher as compared to conventional systems. Economical yield is also higher, or almost 2 to 3 times. And of course, the water there is a water saving from ranging from 28 to 50% as compared to the control or conventional method. Then another crop, guava. We worked on this crop for almost from 2009 to 2018. For the total period of the crop, we come up with a system. We recommended drip irrigation and schedule for the guava orchards. This table explains the drip irrigation and drip irrigation schedule for the guava orchards, year wise and of course age wise, monthly and age wise. And we have also done plastic mulching. We say that if we use 100 micron film in this, we can reduce these irrigation levels by almost 20%. And this is a fertigation schedule of guava. This is a weekly schedule. It is we apply urea phosphate, and muriate of potash. We apply 12 parts supplets, 12 parts or supplets from March to May. These are weekly supplets, and from July to September, it is again 12 parts, and of course with the this given quantities. And this schedule is for the 9 years of the age when we say the plant is fully matured. And thereafter it remains the same. Then we are working on high density guava plantation also. This I will explain in the forthcoming slides. And of course, drip irrigation in Kinu is another. As I've already told you, that Kinu is a major crop in the fruit crop of the Punjab, and almost 75 to 79% of this crop is grown in southwest part of the Punjab. And here you see in this picture, you see a water reservoir or water tank. This is these tanks are constructed by the on a community level by a group of 4 or 5 people, where the government provides subsidy for these tanks, as these tanks are constructed in the area where the major source of water is the canal water, and as such we cannot pump water from the canal. So these water reservoirs are used to store canal water, and that is really these tanks are really proving a blessing for the farmers. Earlier, normally during the peak periods, particularly April and May, when these tanks were not there, the farmers generally sow. That is a time period for sowing cotton, and when they sow cotton, the cotton is demands irrigation, and if there is any canal closure or something like that, they buy water or something like that, and they apply water to the cotton only, and the plants remain without water because they say that okay, they are standing, they can take over the stress, but that was not the case. But once these tanks started, the farmers started adopting this technology and these water reservoirs, they were able to tend both crops as well, that is cotton as well as this quinoa crop. So this is a photograph of a quinoa crop at our station at regional research station at Bathinda, where we are having a center of excellence for use of Rakesh Sharda for cultivation of fruits and vegetables. Then, of course, we worked on this for almost 6 years, and then we come up with the recommendation that is for 6x6 as well as for 6x3. In Punjab, we are following two spacings. Farmers are following two spacings, that is 6x6 meter, 6 meter by 6 meter, and 6 meter by 3 meter. This schedule is for 6x6 meter. This schedule is for 6x3 meters, and we gave a fertigation schedule in quinoa also. It is almost from February to April. Normally, the fruiting season is from November, mid-November onwards till first week of till February, and thereafter its flowering stage and then fruit formation and everything. So we split it into 15 weekly splits from February to April, and then from July to mid-September it was again 12 splits. In this recommendation, potash was earlier not recommended for this quinoa crop. Quinoa, actually, I say, is California mandarin crop, and it's quite popular. And in the forthcoming months, you will be seeing this fruit quite a lot in the markets. And of course, then we worked on, one of our students worked on the effect of the color of mulch film on bell pepper. And if you go by the yield levels, it's almost with the silver mulch, we can harvest around 1.5 kilos per plant, whereas in case of control, it was only 700 grams per plant. And of course, this has happened because of the better FR to R ratio, that is far red to red ratio. And of course, there is one more concept, that is balanced nutrients can reduce disease to an acceptable level, or at least to a level at which further control by other cultural practices or conventional organic biocides are more successful and less expensive. Actually, we started growing papaya in open almost 3 years back. And we changed the transplanting time also. And what we found that is the major problem in this region in papaya is that is leaf curl virus. And of course, leaf mosaic virus is quite detrimental to the crop, and the crop dies because of that. And farmers were not able to harvest commercial economical yield out of those plants. So almost 7 to 8 years back, the university recommended growing papaya under under protected conditions, that is under net house or insect nest house. And of course, when I was going through the literature, I found this statement, and of course we transplanted papaya in the open. And I show you the photographs, only then photographs will themselves speak. And this is the fertigation schedule of papaya, which we adopted from the industry, and we are following it very disciplinedly. Only then we are able to harvest. This is the net house where we say that we can grow papaya. The height, it's a flat roofed net house. It can be this type, or it can be wire and post type net house having a center height of around 4.5 meters. The cost is of this such kind of net house is around around 500 rupees per square meter, inclusive of all taxes. This is the crop of one of my farmers under the net house. He cultivated this papaya 3 years back in the net house at in the Fazilka district. And of course, this is the crop at my place in 2017. This is the crop. You can see we didn't get even a single tree having infection with leaf curl virus, and of course we managed this micronutrients also by foliar spray of micronutrients, and of course we daily fertigated as per the schedule I have explained earlier. These are the different treatments. And then another case, this year we recommended strawberry for open cultivation. Of course, this photograph is for hydroponics. One of my students is doing his PhD for developing developing a model, mathematical model for strawberry cultivation. And if you, we first evaluated the performance of different cultivars for fruit characters. That is, we took a different varieties of different cultivars: Chandler, Camarosa, Sweet Charlie, Antenna, Ofra, Gorilla, Brighton, Cattispil, Ilarantha, Belurubi, and of course Winterdan. And recently we have recommended Winterdan for cultivation in under Punjab conditions. And this is the fertigation schedule of the strawberry, which we adopted and tweaked and found that 80% of it is good for the strawberry cultivation in our areas. And this table shows the different interactions between the strawberry yield and other parameters, other plant yield parameters. And of course, we got almost 20% saving in fertilizers and almost 20% saving in irrigation water. This shows the different parameters, different quality parameters of the strawberry. Sorry, this slide has been repeated. And of course, fertigation is an important part in case of drip irrigation system. The major reason it's an important part, as we know that around, if we apply fertilizer through drip irrigation system, the efficiency of nitrogenous fertilizers is almost 90%, whereas it is around 30% in case of conventional broadcasting system. So this is the reason why we are always getting higher yields in case of drip irrigation system, even with applying less amount of fertilizers. And of course, when we go in for this of course, when we go in for we can apply daily irrigation, that is keeping the plant keeping the soil moisture at field capacity level. That helps us in increasing the yields. That's why we say that in the crops where the water requirement is less, even there the drip irrigation system benefits, because the water management becomes all the more important in those crops. And of course, this table shows which I have already told you, that in case of drip irrigation, drip fertigation efficiency is 90%. In case of nitrogenous fertilizers, in case of phosphorus, it is 45, it is 80%, and in case of potassium, it is 45%. Potassium becomes all the more important in case of fruit crops as well as other crops or wherever there is a grain filling state, because the plants are not able to extract the potassium from the soil, even the soils are potash rich. Even though the soils are potash rich, because the extraction rate is higher than the supply rate. Drip irrigation is also an energy saving tool. Almost 25% of energy is saved if we apply water through drip irrigation systems. I think I've explained a little more. Then, of course, this shows average annual energy requirements, kilowatt hour per hectare. And of course, that is another thing. Camigation can also be done through drip irrigation system, where we apply agriculture chemicals, including herbicides, insecticides, fungicides, along with irrigation water. This, of course, this research is nascent in our country, but this needs to be worked out so that we precisely economize on the use of insecticides and other pesticides. And of course, these are the different recommendations of different crops which we have already worked. You see, in 2011 we gave on potato, and of course quinoa is there in 1995. But then quinoa drip irrigation and fertigation recommendation we gave in 2009, and of course 5 or 6 more crops have been added to this chart, and we are completely technology ready in case of cereals as well as fruits and vegetables, particularly for the Punjab and surrounding region. Sorry. Then, of course, I've already told you we are working on drip irrigation for sustainable food production in arid regions, areas having brackish groundwater. And of course, in the country, there are a lot more salt-affected soils. And of course, you can see on the map of India, that is this red-colored saline water. Groundwater is saline with high SAR saline, and of course alkali water. And we need to develop strategies for these areas and also for the coastal areas. I won't go into it. I've been told by someone that got very less time. Then, of course, salinity causes plant cell dehydration, reduced plant growth, and possible death in tolerant plants. And of course, salinity issues in fruit production is citrus decline in North India, then poor mango and guava production in Uttar Pradesh, and grape production Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh. And irrigation waters, of course, pollute soil to levels, hazardous level for crop growth, which depends on total salt concentration of soda, ionic, and concentration of toxic elements. And of course, if the salt is added, the growth rate declines sharply, and after the second phase of the salt specific effect, it declines very sharply with the time. Application of saline water or conjunctive use of water through drip irrigation can minimize the wastage of water, as well as it will further reduce the harmful effects of the saline water. Another problem in these arid areas is these are normally canal irrigated areas, and there is a problem of waterlogging also. When we will be extracting groundwater and mixing it with the good quality canal water, and then of course we can apply even without mixing it through drip irrigation and get commercial yields. And desalinated water can also be crucial in case of emergency situations where water resources have been polluted by saline incursions. So this is a center of excellence on utilization of brackish water for fruit and vegetable productions in southwestern Punjab. It is under Indo-Israel projects. This is one of the kind project in the country where we are having these saline state-of-the-art desalination plant that is operated through solar power systems, and we are going in for a whole lot of vegetable crops, then of course quinoa, guava, peach, pear, and other crops. And we are doing these. We are using this water for these strategies for this protected cultivation also. And of course, there are 4 water qualities, that is canal water, having us EC between 280 to 300 micromoles per centimeter, desalinated water having almost a similar EC. Then a poor quality water, that is a tubal water, having 4000 micromoles per centimeter. And then we have a canal plus tubal water, that is 2000 micromoles per centimeter. And of course, here we are using automated drip irrigation systems. And the beauty of this system is that we are getting this water, this desalinated water, including all the costs at something around 4 paise per liter. And this is a system that is a desalination plant which delivers water at the rate of 10 meter cubes per hour. It gives us water it reduces the EC from 4000 to 30. Then it is reconditioned and we take it to 280 to 320 micromoles per centimeter. And then irrigation, this is the automated drip irrigation system installed at the place. And then quinoa mandarin, we have a spacing of 6 meters by 3 meters. The quinoa is planted in 2013. And you see, this is the healthy crop. Out of the total plantation, there is only one mortality in the system, in the crop or in the whole block. This is another view of the drip irrigated quinoa crop. And then we got Allahabad Safeda also, with the normal spacing of 6 meters by 5 meters. And then another spacing is 6 meters by 3 meters with a hedgerow and 18 rows. Plant per rows are 28. Every fourth there is a skip. Every fourth row is a skip, and there are 6 by 3 meters spacing. And here also the time of planting was 2013. And based upon our trials at this, we gave a recommendation that, of course, if you are using a drip irrigation system, you can apply water of EC as high as 2 to the plants, to the citrus plants, with the help of drip irrigation system with 1:1 ratio of canal water and tubal water, which cannot be imagined in earlier times. That this shows the water quality, that is a canal water with 60%. And of course, there's a signboard also on the slide with the 60% fertilizer level. And you can see it has a drip lateral, it's an inline drip lateral with 2 laterals on both the sides of the plant. And this is a sort of hedge cutting. We are maintaining training and pruning strategies at the in the experiment. This is with the 80%. And of course, this is another photograph. And here you can see in between the hedgerow. This is the water quality with 60%, the same photograph. And of course, if we compare the two systems, in high density plantation of guava, we realized 4.5 tons per acre in the year 2015, whereas it was nothing in case of low density plantation. And then in case of fruit weight was also mentioned there, then it was almost 12 times in case of 2016. In case of 2017, it was almost 3 times. Then in case of 2019, when the crop of low density plantation establishes very good, after 6 years, the yield was only 10.8 tons. whereas it was 22.6 times, almost 2.25 times as compared to the yield of high density plantation is almost 2.25 times as compared to the low density plantation. It means a high density is being factorized in many crops nowadays, and of course this results in lowering the gestation period, particularly for the fruit crops, because normally we say that the fruit crop gives a commercial yield after 4 to 5 years, but here you can see that fruit tree giving commercial returns in the very second year. In the sixth year, of course, we have to apply higher, because we are getting higher production. We have to apply higher doses of fertilizers, almost 173% at 80% level in high density plantation as compared to low density plantation. But then that is almost 90% of it is converted to into the fruits, and that thus we can say we are not polluting our soils. We are just supplying as per the requirement of the plant. And of course, people say that prunings are quite labor consuming, but we found that pruning requires 24 man days for true prunings in a given season for 1 acre area, and under drip irrigation, the irrigation requirement is higher as compared to irrigation requirement of low density plantation at 6 meter by 5 meters. And then, of course, protected cultivation. For protected cultivation, farmer has whole lot of options, right from, if you see on the top left-hand corner of your screen, it is low tunnel. That is to save the crop, particularly in my areas where there's an occurrence of frost events from mid of December to mid of February. There's a lot more chance of occurrence of frost event and subsequent crop failure. So we recommend such type of low tunnels where we provide a low cost iron hoop around the crop and put a 550 micron sheet. Then the second on the second photograph is about the low cost polynet house. Actually, in 1993, the systems were introduced in these systems were insect net houses were introduced in the Punjab. But the problem with that is there was no scientific structural design for that system. So our department developed the structural design of the system, which can withstand 110 kilometers per hour of speed, and that system was tested and installed at PAU. And of course, now these systems, the government of Punjab is providing 50% subsidy. And I am very happy to share that recently I got a call from Pune from one entrepreneur. She wants to grow strawberry inside such net houses, and want to use such a polynet house as a rain shelter for growing these strawberries in a vertical fashion. So she requested for it, and I provided the designs. And then the third one is this walk-in tunnels. And then, of course, the insect net house, which can be used for raising fruit crops as well, because since the cost is less. And of course, these can be used for raising vegetables also. Then these type of shade nets are quite popular in the areas having high solar radiation intensity. Then the sixth one is the most common type of polyhouse. And this seventh one is the high-tech polyhouse. Normally, we say that a farmer who is opting for high-tech polyhouse, they must go in for either nursery raising in those polyhouses, or in such type of polyhouses, or high-value crops such as orchids or hydroponics or aeroponics. And of course, hydroponics is a fad nowadays. We are also conducting one training from tomorrow morning on hydroponics as well as soilless cultivation. We gave one recommendation of on we gave recommendation on cultivation of this cucumber under soilless cultivation, and our department also gave one model of rooftop cultivation. It costs around 40,000 bucks and is sufficient for a family of 4. And of course, this technology, the last one, aeroponics, is now widely used for producing disease-free potato tubers. And of course, returns. It is estimated that annual returns, as I have already told you in the earlier also, that annual returns per unit area from protected cultivation could be 4 to 8 times than those of open field conditions. Protected cultivation ensures reduced use of water and land, and it is becoming extremely important under current scenario of climate change, and is friendly. Of course, I always say that this technology is friendly to marginal farmers, to the environment, to the unemployed youth, to meet requirements of fresh produce like vegetables, fruits, and flowers around the year, urban and peri-urban farming, and all interested in this, and one and all interested in this farming. The country's vision on protected cultivation should be to target the potentialities and convert them into reality with the help of stakeholders, including private sector, through public-private joint programs. And of course, I always say, as I have said, we must, as a scientist, as a researchers, we must strive for high-value crops, and that's why we introduced orchid this last month. The university introduced orchid last month as a new crop for cultivation under high-tech polyhouses in Punjab. And this crop is around 3 months old, what you are seeing in the picture. And of course, this crop is almost on the right hand side. It is Sonia white, and on the left hand side it is Sonia red. And of course, you can see in the background there's aeroponics as well as a hydroponic system. And we recommended orchids under the protected conditions. This research proposal was we use cocoa husk, cocoa charcoal, and cocoa peat in 1:1:1 ratio as the potting media. And of course, this will give a further impetus to the high-tech cultivation or fan and pad polyhouses in the state. And if you go by the economics, in the very third year, in the very second year, we reap the benefits. If we go in for cut class only, and if we go in for orchids as a potted plant, even from 1,000 square meters system, polyhouse, high-tech polyhouse system, will be harvesting around 16 lakhs per acre per year. So thank you. That was my presentation, and I'm standing in the fields of my crops. Thank you. Any questions? Shivji, are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. Sir,
Are there any? Pardon?
We got this one question.
Okay. I think I've done the presentation well in time, or I have crossed the time.
You have done it.
Pardon?
Thank you, everyone.